Mild-mannered scientist Bruce Banner had no idea of the huge changes his life would undergo after he was exposed to gamma rays. Whenever he was angry or under a great amount of stress, Banner turned into the big green monster, the Incredible Hulk. Created by comic book giants Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, the Hulk first graced comic books in 1962 in the first issue of the eponymous series, The Incredible Hulk. The powerful hero needs powerful antagonists to fight, so today we're going to look into 10 of the most powerful villains Hulk has faced off against. So get your green on, tap the subscribe button, and join us on this wild ride. Leader. Samuel Stearns was born in Boise, Idaho, and was constantly in the shadow of his brilliant brother Philip. It did not help that Stearns was dull-witted and a high school dropout, while Philip was a scientific genius. Though they worked in the same chemical plant, Samuel was a janitor while Philip was a researcher. One day, due to an explosive accident, Samuel was bombarded with gamma radiation, which turned his skin green, but it also gave him the one thing he was always wishing for: a higher intellect than his brother. The radiation enlarged his cranium and brain, and Samuel named himself Leader. Within a year, he had transformed himself into a criminal mastermind, with the hopes of toppling the US government. He hired supervillains and created humanoids, androids that were created to do his bidding, to steal federal secrets. Eventually, Hulk found out about his plans and clashed with him on many occasions. The Leader even ruined Banner's first wedding with his beau, Betty Ross. The Leader, though not a match to the Hulk in physical strength, can give a run for Banner's money with his intellect. Samuel Stearns has a different story in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He was not dim like in the comics, and was a professor of cellular biology at Grayburn College. Stearns and Banner collaborated to find a cure that would help him get rid of the Hulk forever, but Stearns had a secret agenda, which was to steal Banner's blood to create antidotes to all diseases humans suffer from. Though he used them on many test subjects, none of them survived. Emil Blonsky approached Stearns, demanding that he expose Blonsky to gamma radiation and inject him with Banner's blood. Stearns agreed, but when Blonsky transformed into the huge Abomination, he went on a rampage in the lab, accidentally infecting Stearns with Banner's blood. Stearns then mutated to become the Leader, the big-brained villain. You can see the Leader in the MCU being portrayed by actor Tim Blake Nelson. Maestro. In an alternate future timeline on Earth 9200, a nuclear war destroyed every single superhero on Earth and chemical attacks by Black Scythe, a group that believed that the time had come for humans to die. Humanity had been pushed to extinction. Advanced Idea Mechanics, or AIM, had imprisoned some people who had survived exposure to radiation in stasis, hoping that they could be later used to recreate the population. One of these people was Bruce Banner, who managed to escape AIM and traveled to New York City, where the dystopian city was being ruled by Hercules under the name of Maestro. Hercules sparred with him for the sake of old times and defeated him. Banner's friend Rick Jones tells him that Hercules is an autocratic ruler who only wants to have sex or sparring matches, requesting Hulk to defeat him. Banner, though initially hesitant, agrees and sends his dogs of war, robotic dogs trained to fight. Hercules easily defeats them, and Hulk seeks the help of the villain Vapor, who successfully poisons and kills Hercules. Banner then betrays Vapor and kills her, which causes Rick to start doubting the evil Hulk. Meanwhile, Hades sent Hercules back from death to get his revenge, forcing Hulk to not only battle him, but also evade an explosion Rick set up. Thanks to a sabotage by Hercules' minister, Hulk won and seized control of New York. He went mad with grief and grew even more powerful by absorbing the residual nuclear power around. Rebels under Maestro's rule traveled back in time to bring Professor Hulk to defeat him. Though Hulk is not as strong as Maestro, he uses the power of deception to kill him. Abomination. Emil Blonsky was a KGB agent who successfully infiltrated a U.S. Air Force base in New Mexico, where he was sent to sabotage missiles. The Air Force base was commanded by General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, and incidentally was also the workplace of Bruce Banner. The alien stranger had begun to control the Hulk during this time, as he believed that humans of Earth were not responsible enough to be trusted with nuclear weapons. Bruce Banner, after finding out about the stranger's plans towards Hulk, decided to kill himself himself to make sure that Hulk would not bring about the apocalypse. Unfortunately, the lab where Banner decided to bombard himself with gamma rays was the same lab where Blonsky was hiding. Before Banner could turn on the machine, security guards escorted Banner out. But Blonsky, overcome with a morbid curiosity, turned on the machine, subjecting himself to the rays. He becomes a green lizard-like creature, whom General Ross's daughter calls Abomination, and begins a lifelong feud with the Hulk, even abducting Betty at one point. Abomination, though as strong as Hulk, retained his human consciousness in this mutated form. The MCU gives a different spin to Blonsky's backstory. Though born in the Soviet Union, Blonsky was brought up in England and joined the Royal Marines. A formidable fighter in the forces, his help was sought by General Ross to capture Banner, as he was on the run from General Ross, who considered him a national threat. Even after a long and arduous chase, Banner evaded all attempts by Blonsky to capture him. Blonsky, a man who never backed away from a mission, vowed to defeat Hulk. He agreed to be injected with the super soldier serum to aid in his mission. Another long chase and multiple fights later, Banner was captured and Blonsky approached Stearns, who was experimenting with Banner's blood, and forced to give it to him. Blonsky, thanks to the super soldier serum in his veins, transformed into the formidable Abomination. All the experimentation left a lot of rage in Abomination, pushing him to go on mindless rampages. Cold, ruthless, and with only one goal in his mind, you can watch Abomination being portrayed by Tim Roth in the MCU. Thanos. The Eternals, Alars, and Suisan gave birth to Thanos on Titan, one of Saturn's moons. As Eternals were not able to reproduce, Alars pulled some strings using the quantum bonds with the help of his father Kronos and created his child, who was born with deviant genes. Unfortunately, the process was very traumatic for Suisan, who went mad and tried to kill Thanos, believing that he would destroy all life in the universe. As a shy and introverted child, Thanos began dabbling in nihilism and fell in love with Mistress Death, the physical embodiment of death. Though Thanos eventually grows out of this phase and has a lot of offsprings, Mistress Death visits him again, and Thanos ends up killing all his kids just to impress her. He becomes obsessed with erasing life to win over Mistress Death, and takes deadly voyages to different planets. With the help of the Infinity Stones, Thanos is nearly invincible and has taken on the Jade Giant many times. Fans of the MCU will remember how Hulk looked powerless in front of the Mad Titan. Thanos in the MCU was born with a physical mutation that left him an outcast in his homeworld. Once when Titan was suffering from overpopulation, he suggested killing half of the entire population, but his idea was ignored for being too drastic, and Thanos had to watch Titan be rendered uninhabitable due to the population. To make sure it doesn't happen again, he travels the universe, halving the population whenever he thinks it's necessary. Josh Brolin portrays him in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Red Hulk. Thaddeus Ross was born in a patriotic military family. Both his father and grandfather had served in the army, and he too followed in their footsteps. As a lieutenant general, Ross was chosen to oversee the Gamma Bomb project, where he met Bruce Banner. Despite his hatred for the scientist and his dismissal of him as a weakling, his daughter Betty took a liking to him. When Banner became the Hulk, Ross became obsessed with hunting him down, going so far as to commit treason and ally with supervillains like Leader and Abomination to kill Banner. Obviously, an obsession with this rate has no place in the military, and Ross was dismissed, which added fuel to the fire, and he showed up with a gun at Betty's wedding to Banner. Later incidents, like Betty's murder by Abomination and Hulk's exile from Earth, pushed Ross into depression. So when the criminal think tank, Intelligentsia, offered to experiment on him and bring back Betty, he readily agreed. The experiments turned him into the Red Hulk, a formidable foe to Green Hulk. Red Hulk can lift over 100 tons and can leap vast distances. He's more powerful than the Hulk and can transform whenever he wants to. With his nigh limitless stamina and superhuman speed, Red Hulk makes Green Hulk look like a weakling. In the MCU, Thaddeus Ross, played by Harrison Ford, hated Banner as he harmed Betty when Banner became the Hulk for the first time. His transformation into the Red Hulk was quite accidental, as Samuel Stearns was only trying to help Ross's failing heart with gamma-ray-laced pills. When Ross went back on his promise to free Stearns from imprisonment, he activated the latent radiation in Ross, which turned him into the Red Hulk. Juggernaut. Cain Marco was the son of Kurt Marco, who married Charles Xavier's mother after the death of Kurt's wife. Cain was constantly expelled from schools for his rough and reckless behavior, while Charles was loved by his teachers. This was imitated at home as well, as Kurt preferred his gentle stepson over his own son, whom he abused. Cain resented Charles because of this. While serving in the army, Cain was stationed in Korea when he stumbled upon a hidden temple dedicated to an entity named Sidorak. Cain found a red stone inside the temple, and he read aloud the inscription on it, which promised the leader the powers of Sidorak. Cain thus transformed into the Juggernaut, always armored with a helmet to avoid the psychic attacks of his stepbrother. Juggernaut used his powers to attack the X-Men and was banished to an alternate universe by Eternity, the cosmic creature. His beef with Hulk began when an interdimensional device that was made to banish Hulk accidentally pulled him back to the Hulkbuster base on Earth. Though Hulk initially helped Juggernaut escape the base, he turned against him after seeing him abuse a civilian. Juggernaut has a personal force field, superhuman stamina, and can summon his armor whenever he wants to. So is it any wonder that he is on our list? Vinnie Jones played the villain in X-Men: The Last Stand, Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool 2, and Aaron W. Reed played him in Deadpool and Wolverine. In most MCU films, Juggernaut is a mutant born with his powers. Bybeast. The bird people, an avian subspecies of the Inhumans, created a huge android with two skulls. The top skull was given knowledge about warfare, while the bottom was given knowledge about culture. Due to unknown reasons, the bird people perished, leaving the Bybeast alone in Aerie, the floating city. One day, the Bybeast saw Banner with Harpy and was hit with a strong wave of nostalgia about his now-dead masters. He captured the duo and ordered Banner to fix all the ruined machines in the city. Banner instead focused on curing the injured Harpy, who turned into Betty Ross once she was healed. Angered that Banner did not obey his orders, he attacked Banner. Before their fight could go any further, MODOK attacked the city with an AIM strike force, and Bybeast decided to turn on a self-destruct mechanism to prevent the capture of his home. Though he died in the explosion, the bird people had created another Bybeast, which carried on the grudge against Hulk. Being an android, the Bybeast feels no pain and can fight without getting tired. With limitless knowledge and incredible strength, Bybeast is an intimidating foe for sure. Absorbing Man. After Carl Creel's mom passed away when he was still a kid, his dad became abusive. Carl gained the strength to stand up to him when he was 16, but was kicked out of his home for doing so. He turned to a life of crime, acting as an enforcer for the Owl. All his free time was spent inside a boxing ring, where he had an outlet for his grief and anger. Crime never pays, though, and Creel was arrested. In prison, Loki, who was scheming against Thor once again, laced his water with rare Asgardian herbs that gave him the power to absorb the physical properties of anything he touched. Despite this power, Thor tricked him, and he could not defeat the Asgardian. Creel has occasionally butted heads with the Hulk, and thanks to his power-mimicking ability, has come close to destroying the Green Giant. According to the MCU, Creel, played by Brian Patrick Wade, got his powers from an experiment by Baron Strucker, the Hydra leader. Though he has not faced Hulk in a fight as of yet in the MCU, we can guarantee that when they do, it is going to be epic. Madman. A brilliant nuclear physicist, Philip Stern studied alongside Bruce Banner at Caltech. The genius mind of Bruce Banner and his adventures as the Hulk began a weird jealousy in Philip that eventually turned into a deranged obsession. His only goal in life was to emulate his hero and become him. As all mad scientists have a tendency to do, he began experimenting on himself with gamma radiation, which turned him into a monstrous creature. The obsession also had psychological ramifications, as Philip developed multiple personality disorder, a malicious entity that ordered him to kill Hulk. Naming himself the Madman, he began to target Hulk, who made an unlikely ally with Philip's brother Samuel Stearns, aka the Leader. Philip can take on many different appearances and grow to a monstrous size, even bigger than Hulk. The angrier he is, the more he grows, which is enough to make the Jade Giant quake in his boots. Though Philip Stearns has not made it into the MCU yet, his story is suspiciously similar to Samuel Stearns, from being a professor to his obsession with Bruce. But only time will tell whether we get to see the Madman anytime soon on our screens. Zenu, also known as the Living Hulk. Zenu is an alien who was imprisoned for his criminal activities in an exile world. He snuck out of the world on a supply ship, but it could not carry him all the way to his planet, and he crash-landed on Earth, where he was found by Joe Harper, an electrician. Joe healed the alien with electrolysis, after which Zenu revealed his plans to enslave humanity using his powers of hypnosis. As Joe saved him, Zenu decided to spare him. Joe prevented this by sabotaging his aircraft and sending it into Earth's orbit. Even from outer space, Zenu continued his effort and tried to attack Earth with cosmic radiation, but Joe deflected the attack using a mirror and scattered Zenu's atoms all across space, giving him an incorporeal form. That did not stop Zenu's ambitions, and the Defenders, Namor, Hulk, and Doctor Strange had to step in to stop him. Zenu's telepathic and telekinetic powers give him an upper hand over any strong hero, let alone Hulk. Unless someone manages to curb his psychic powers, Zenu will soon have all of us under his spell. Marvelous verdict. These were all the villains we think give a strong fight against Hulk. Did we miss any of your selections? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to tell us why you think they are powerful against the strongest Avenger. We will soon return with more of our awesome videos, and until then, like, share, and take care. Goodbye!